Welcome to the recap of Chapter 4 in Valkyrie Profile. Freya summons Lenneth to Asgard to give a report. The Aesir army strength has eclipsed the Vanir's. Freya is happy with this, stating that Asgard is firmly in control. As for our Einherjar, Janus has done well, running magic experiments and inspecting the Joskrol plains. As Janus is thinking about his deceased father, Loki approaches. He starts asking about Janus' past in a knighthood and how he sacrificed his position for his country. Janus, probably sensing foul intent, shuts down the conversation. Janus has served the Aesir well, playing a major role in the recapture of Fort Sartori, disabling enemy traps, and even discovering a mysterious spring. For these notable deeds, his exploits were duly recognized by Thor. Galenus has been busy protecting supply troops, inspecting the Sonder region, destroying Vanir experimental equipment, and so on. In the Bada Desert, the second platoon is deployed by Thor to destroy a hidden Vanir base, which ended up being a successful operation. For his prudent approach, Galenus is praised by Thor. Llewellyn has been continuing his service for the Aesir, mostly patrolling roads, preparing defensive lines, and making sure things are in order. Llewellyn takes even trivial matters seriously. He gets involved in an operation to halt the construction of a Vanir fortress at Delxru, which ends up being a success. After reviewing the activities of our Einherjar, Freya reports that she's more than pleased with Lenneth's performance and receives items from Odin to aid in her journey. She then informs us that she is in need of an emissary, one who must be able to deal with the Light Elves. Lenneth returns to Midgard in search of a qualified soul who's skilled at negotiating. Once again, Lenneth focuses her mind and spirit and travels to Highland again. This time, we see a mermaid, Yume, pretending to be stranded at sea, calling for help to a nearby vessel. On the vessel, a young boy, Fuyuki, and his father hear Yume calling for help and pull her onto the deck. She assumes a human form, pretty much swapping her tail for a pair of legs, and makes up a story about how her boat sank and that she's the sole survivor. While heading back to port, Yume asks the boy's father about the cerulean lapis, asking if it's true that it grants wishes. He just dismisses it as an old wives' tale. Once they get to the docks, Fuyuki tells Yume that he believes the lapis is real. They discuss what they'd use the lapis's wishing power for. Fuyuki says he'd wish for a fine new ship, but Yume hides her answer, stating she doesn't know. Fuyuki's father asks Yume why she's here. Yume says she came to see her father, Shogun Ko. The father is surprised and tells Yume that the Shogun is dead. He expounds on the war between Highland and the Merfolk, that it ended only because Shogun Ko brokered a peace with the Merfolk, and that earned him a reputation as both a legendary war hero and a peacemaker. His conviction changed after falling overboard during the war, but miraculously washed ashore alive, likely being rescued by the Merfolk. Fuyuki hears this and is concerned. He doesn't understand why Yume withheld this from him. Yume becomes despondent and gives up on the search for the lapis. She runs away to the shore and assumes her mermaid form again. Fuyuki catches up to her, telling her that he wished she trusted him enough to let him help her. But Yume reveals the truth. Her ostracized mother recently passed away. At that point, Yume says she has given up on living altogether. After that, her wish would have been to live with her family. She says she feels jealous that her mother and father can be together in death without her, and that she plans to throw herself into the forming oooh, which is a large, violent whirlpool, to be with her parents in death. She apologizes for lying to Fuyuki and goes to the ocean. Fuyuki regrets not stopping her, and in a strange turn of events, wishes for Yume to be with her parents again. Lenneth, who has been looking on, is confused by the choice, since he is essentially wishing for Yume's death, though Valkyrie decided to grant his wish, taking Yume's soul along with her. Fuyuki would never know if his wish was granted or not, but he chooses to believe in the cerulean lapis, and that Yume was with her family forevermore. Lenneth's next destination ends up being Vilnor, a militaristic regime with a notorious robbers guild. They supposedly also have a secret weapon of some kind. We'll see if that actually becomes relevant at some point later on. In Vilnor, we see a warrior named Aelia bound up in a dungeon being interrogated. Lenneth approaches Aelia and introduces herself as a chooser of the slain. Aelia rejects her before Lenneth could even make her offer. Later on, a certain Lord Gandar reveals that Aelia carries dragon's blood in her veins. It seems Aelia was searching for someone when she got captured. She provokes Gandar, who finally, in his rage, does her in. Aelia meets Lenneth again, asking her why human souls are needed for the war in Asgard. Lenneth dodges the question, but makes a promise to Aelia that she will deliver some sensitive information to her friends. With that, Aelia is taken under Lenneth's wing. As a side note, it appears that Aelia has the dragon gem on her person and is able to shapeshift into a dragon, which is apparently a form of necromancy. This necromancy causes the deterioration of her own identity. What this precisely means, though, is unclear. Lenneth then travels to Garabellum. Lenneth is spotted by a woman named Claire and is reminded of an earlier conversation she had with Lucian. Yes, Lucian is back in the picture now after so long. He's grown now and in a relationship with this Claire girl. In this conversation, Lucian recounts his memories of Platina and remembers her silver hair. Claire is jealous that Lucian is still quietly carrying the flame for Platina. Looking upon Lenneth, she tells herself that there's no way she could be this Platina girl, especially since she died so long ago. Out of frustration, she throws a pebble at Lenneth. Back at Claire's home, Lenneth speaks to her mother Dulce, who apologizes for her behavior. Lucian shows up with a sum of money to support Miss Dulce. Lucian walks up to Lenneth and is momentarily struck by the resemblance between Lenneth and Platina. Later on, Miss Dulce worries that Lucian is doing uncouth things to get the money to support her. Back at Lucian's home, he and Claire argue about Claire's behavior towards Lenneth. Claire admits she was jealous of the girl in Lucian's memories, and seeing Lenneth, a beautiful woman with the same hair, was just too much for her. She doesn't want to share Lucian with the ghost, which I suppose is fair enough. The next stop for Lenneth is the Weeping Lily Meadow. She was drawn there due to the resonance of human thoughts, possibly her own. In the meadow, she encounters and dispatches some foul spirits that were haunting a gravestone. Lenneth isn't sure why a place like this would have a grave, and leaves without any answers. With these new Einherjar in the party, Lenneth raids the castle of Brahms, a lord of the undead, making him a natural enemy to Lenneth. Since the castle disappears each morning when the sun rises, she only has a limited amount of time to make the run. She eventually makes it to the throne room to confront Brahms, but instead of a battle, something interesting happens. When Lenneth confronts Brahms, he implies that they have a history of some kind. He asks Lenneth what happened to her, and how she cannot remember Brahms, or her own sister. Brahms claims that Odin is manipulating Lenneth. After some deliberation, Lenneth decides not to battle him. Brahms agrees, saying that their conclusion will come at another time, and disappears. Just before the castle disappears as well, Lenneth senses some overwhelming energy equal to Odin's. In the cave of Thackus, a sluice gate that was installed to seal off polluted waters and abominations within threatens to collapse. Lenneth heads in to fix this. She quickly locates the magical gate, its magical seal about to wear off. She decides to break the seal quickly and replace it with a new one, but as she begins, a kraken attacks, which of course she quickly dispatches. With the new seal in place, the foul waters and foul beasts are once again contained within. More foul activities occurring in the dark tower of Zerva, a bright tower that beckons unaware travelers to their doom. This undead tower is one of the more bizarre locations that Lenneth has visited, as it is constructed out of giant bones, organs, and viscera. One would venture the guess that this tower is made from the bodies of giants. At the end, Lenneth encounters a pair of creatures, hunters of souls that she recognizes as Queen Hel's creations. She remarks that the hand of Hel has reached Midgard. After a difficult battle, the Hel servants are destroyed. Next, Valkyrie arrives in Flensburg, a monarchy in the southeast and home to a prominent sorcery collegium. Here we are introduced to Lizard and Bellion, who are running through the woods with a woman they kidnapped. Bellion, who is some kind of ogre, seemingly, runs ahead while Lizard stays behind to fend off his pursuers. Using some powerful sorcery, he summons a demon from hell and confronts the elven warriors chasing him. Later in Lizard's dungeon, the kidnapped elf tries to use some kind of magic to charm Bellion and make him remove her chains. However, it doesn't work, and Bellion begins to strangle her. Lizard steps in to stop him and reveals to the elf that Bellion is a homunculus. Lazard appears to be some kind of degenerate sex pest, constantly alluding to it and making all these creepy comments. Lazard refers to the elf as a vessel of the gods, hinting at his reasoning for capturing her. He also reveals that he has found the Philosopher's Stone, and the first bit of knowledge that the stone shared with him is that anything or anyone claiming to be all, quote-unquote, is a deceiver. Before he leaves, he tells the elf that she will be a sacrifice, and that her body will be used to create the ultimate vessel. We then cut to a get-together at the Collegium, where a certain Professor Lorenta is looking for someone named Mestina, all while celebrating her birthday. Upon returning home, she is approached by a cat. Unfortunately, the cat is Lazard's familiar. He demands that she follow the cat and that he has captured her husband. Lorenta remembers Lazard, as he was one of her best students. Lorenta follows the familiar to Lazard's tower, asking if he's doing this out of a desire for revenge. Lazard laughs off this notion. He explains that he needed an elderly couple who has experienced true love for his purposes. Lazard says that he too covets love, and for it, Lorenta and her husband must die. Lorenta embraces her husband, but he's been given some ghoul powder that is killing him. In his lab, Lazard calls out to Valkyrie, seemingly using this couple's torment to bait her. The ghoul powder takes hold, and what was once Lorenta's husband strangles her to death. Valkyrie beheads the transformed man, and takes Lorenta's soul into herself, and sets out on a war path to end Lazard's unspeakable treachery. She fights through the demon-infested hallways and elevators, passing by strange statues and numerous inscriptions upon the walls, to finally come across a magic circle that teleports her to Lazard's laboratory. Lazard is almost ecstatic to see Lenneth, stating that his heart throbs for her, that Valkyrie is her lady love, and that he openly and brazenly lusts for her. Lazard wonders, what kind of beings are these gods that exist on the same plane as deceased human souls? And speculates that gods themselves are likely vagrant souls of a kind. Thus, he would be able to force one's soul, namely Lenneth's, into one of his many homunculi. Lenneth is sickened by all this, the murder of Lorenta and her husband, the sacrifices, the experiments, all just to bring her to his lab so that he may run more mad experiments. Lazard finally reveals he wants to make Lenneth into a human. Lenneth finds this pursuit entirely and completely trivial, and that humans who cross beyond their designated boundaries are fighting total annihilation. A battle with Lazard commences, but before Lenneth can take him out, he teleports away. Lenneth says that love cannot exist between humans and gods, and Lazard retorts by laughing, stating that she has no idea what she is, and that she can believe whatever she wants about her origin. Lenneth asserts that Odin is her father and creator. Lazard said he doesn't really care what she believes, and that Lenneth is his beloved. Lazard's words echo in Lenneth's mind as she continues to explore the lab. She finds and destroys multiple vats containing homunculi, stopping at the last one, who has the body of a child. Lenneth is at a loss. And that concludes chapter 4. This was a pretty packed one. I really liked it. And, like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Let me know what you think about these. Let me know if you think there are any improvements that can be made to this format, because I feel like there's something missing, like I could be doing something more. Yeah, and that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the chapter 5 recap. Bye.